We were a number of partners who got together already in 2014 when we marked the 25th anniversary since '89. At that time, because I come from Bulgaria, there was a lot of energy to work on the topic. At that time, there was a big campaign organized under the auspices of the Bulgarian president, which was called 25 Years of Freedom. So you already see that then that the message was a very different one. So there was a political will to mark or to celebrate 25 years of freedom since '89. And at that time, we gathered in a smaller group with partners from the region and started mapping through storytelling, through video blogs, through a lot of interviews, oral history interviews, what are the predominant narratives in the public discourse, and we worked a lot with the biographical approach to it. And ever since then, the project evolved in different ways, also because the conversation about transition and about '89 is not that much only a historical conversation, but it's always about the present and the future. So what is the impact transition did have on our societies, obviously post '89, and what is it that it has in terms of impact right now? So how did transition make us the way we are? We start observing these days in some parts of Europe is that the story of transition, or at least there is an attempt to rewrite the story of transition. Some people say, the transition did not happen the way we wanted it. We did fight for something else in '89. The real ideals of democracy or of the way we imagined it did not happen, which is a narrative that quite a few populists are using these days. So we want to map with this, in this dialogue, in this project, what are the key narratives and how are these taught in the schools so that we know what is the mindset with which also kids come out of school and basically live the values that are taught in the textbooks. We think of ourselves as sort of citizens second class, those who don't have agency. It's always someone imposing something on us, telling us how to do things. And I think part of this is a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. So it doesn't matter whether this picture of us comes from the outside, imposed from someone, or it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, there is a tangible lack of agency among citizens. So this is something that we want to be dealing with. So we're not talking history and not talking narratives for the sake of the history itself, but it's really to see where does this sense of lack of agency among citizens come from, because we want to see obviously active and empowered citizens in our countries looking forward and doing, chasing their dreams, and we want to put this in the context of the history of transition and how this somehow made us feel as if we're citizens without an agency. Germany is a very important country in Europe, very important country within the European Union, and I think the more Germany takes the lead, or at least is part of this type of a conversation, tries to explain to the West, wie der Osten tickt. So what is it? What is the mindset of the East? I think the more important this is. I'm now looking at the political scenery in this country. Angela Merkel, whatever you want to tell about her, you might like her or not, but she's a politician who does understand Eastern European politics and society in general. But what happens when politicians like her are not there anymore by the virtue of the fact that they're getting old? So what about, who are going to be those to be telling the stories of Eastern European history? So what we want to do with this project at the end of the day is really find those impactful way which are telling a story with which those who did not go through it can actually empathize with and also understand. For the West, for a variety of reasons. I think first of all, this is pan-European history. It's not like transition did happen only in the East, but this is part of the entire European history. So that's one reason, I think. The next thing is, in order to understand if and how Eastern Europeans are maybe different and have a different mentality, you need to know where this comes from. And also another thing is, I think, the fact that we as societies somehow had to learn how to master these tectonic shifts in society. So these skills that we as Eastern Europeans have acquired in dealing with big transformations, or maybe something that could be lessons passed on to some of our friends in the West. And plus, we also want to stop, the East-West dichotomy is not always very helpful. Indeed, in a historical context, it helps understand differences of experiences and of dynamics and of politics. But I think the more we seek into, the cohesion of pan-European values, or be them values of humanity or of liberal democracy, the better we're going to be equipped for the future, I think.